Just two adjacent girls living in a lovely world. They took a podcast train going anywhere, but kind of specifically through Austin, Texas. Yeah, hook 'em horns.
Welcome back. Welcome to Adjacent. Why are you
From outer
down
space.
today?
We're going in outer space today.
We're going in a lot of directions today because we have the fabulous VincenteLeCornu, who is the husband to Katie Daly. And
lucky guy. What a lucky guy.
I just love her so much. And Vincent is going to talk us through some conspiracy theories. He talks about JFK. He's going to talk about the tall grays and the short whites, or is it reversed? I don't
know. But I was talking to family about it. And somebody brought up aliens, and I was like, oh man, we have somebody coming on to talk about aliens. He talks about the white ones and the tall gray ones, and they were like, oh my gosh, when is that episode coming out? We're excited.
Well, Shelly and I were on the edge of our seats listening to him. He's such a great interview. He's always that person that captivates you when you meet him in real life, as you like to say. And he likes to, one time we had him over, Shelly and John and I, out at the ranch with Katie, and we all put on tinfoil hats and all shared our conspiracy theories. So it's really fun. So get your tinfoil hats on, protect yourself. And here we are. You're going to meet a very interesting human with a lot to say. Enjoy.
Adjacent. Very near, next to, or touching. Our tailgate is adjacent to the left field fence. ADJACENT. Adjacent.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to Adjacent. We have a very special guest here today. He is our conspiracy theorist
specialist. That's funny.
He works for the Texas Lottery. He's a ball handler sometimes.
He's the ball handler on Texas Lottery. You can watch him live on
whatever channel.
We're on YouTube. They posted on
YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Push to the YouTube.
He's married to one of our besties, Katie Daly.
He's married to a beautiful Katie
inside
Daly.
inside and out. And who do we have today, Shelly?
Vincent.
Dun, dun, dun. LeCornu. Okay, so Vincent, I'm just going to go over some stats. I know that you and Katie Daly, y'all were like high school sweethearts or something like that. You went to the University of Texas. What was your major?
Ball handling?
Yeah. Yeah, lottery science. No, my first year was film. Then I was Asian studies for 2 years. And then I took a classics course and realized I was brought back to my original dream that I wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Oh, yes. Who didn't?
For a living. So then I was in school for like 3 more years because I had to do Latin and then Greek and then archaeology. And then I worked on an archaeology project in Italy the last year, the summer before my last year. And then I finally graduated with, it was Ancient History and Classical Civilization. That was the name of the...
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years of Greek, 3 years of Latin. I'd already taken 3 years of Japanese when I was Asian studies and 1 year of Chinese.
So a professional student is what I'm hearing.
I was in the Plan 2 program, and I dropped out because I would have to stayed another year and written a thesis, even as an undergrad.
Yeah.
Right.
To get that degree instead of just regular BA. And so I just went with the BA because I was starting a family, and
right.
I was doing private security on West Campus and 6th Street and that sort of thing. And I got stationed at the lottery.
Okay.
And I got to know some of the people there. So when the job opened up, they let me know about it. So.
Right. As you can tell, Vincent is very cerebral.
Yeah, it's weird. I've always, as long as I can remember, in kindergarten, I remember kids kind of treating me strangely, I was always, but the weird thing is I was never like bullied or unpopular. It was always just, he's that weird, that unusual guy, so I don't have a lot of like bitterness or bad feelings about it.
I hear you.
The problem is people were in a small town. People were utterly fascinated with every social move I made.
Right.
So when Katie and I first started going out, that made huge waves.
Oh.
Yeah. We had a teacher in junior high who was friends with Katie's mother who taught 6th grade English.
Oh,
And-
I didn't know Katie's mom was a teacher.
Yeah, I knew Katie's mother way before I knew Katie.
Oh.
She was my 6th grade English teacher.
Oh, fun.
And she said that she remembered me because she taught language arts, and I was the kid who raised my hand and told the class that Japanese didn't use pronouns, and you're supposed to avoid them. They are there. They use them occasionally, but yeah. So I would finish my work early and read the unabridged dictionary in the back. My goal was to read it all the way back to front, including the appendix in the back that had the Indo-European roots for every word.
Oh my
I've always
God.
been fascinated with etymology.
Oh,
like where
yeah.
words come
Oh,
from.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like adjacent, jacere in Latin means to like throw, and ad jacere means to throw something against something. So if something's
so
adjacent,
throwing
it's butting up
people
right
together.
against it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what we're about. Okay, it says you're a Gemini. I could really see this. My daughter's a Gemini, Cameron. You're always asking questions and exploring new things. True. A natural chatterer. Talks about almost anything.
Yeah.
I think this is completely about you. Clever and enjoys learning new things. Very true. Aware that people have different opinions without being less valuable. Okay.
I try.
You try. You can switch between different personas and activities with ease. You do get kind of like, I remember you were doing a lot of photography, editing. You're always have your hand into something.
Yeah.
Full of energy and positive. I think those all describe you to a T.
Katie's always said that I have two personalities. And she actually gave them names. So there's Vincent, which is the more serious, quiet one who might, sometimes has a temper, that sort of thing. Then there's Gianni, which
yeah.
what she, originally knew me in high school. He's the fun guy, talkative and everything. So I, kind of go back and forth. And
I love that. And I've heard her call you that. So
Yeah.
It must be like when you're being fun.
Yeah, I think so. But because Gianni, it's nowhere on my birth certificate.
Is Gianni in the house?
Yeah. It's legally not my name, but I think it was maybe even the name my mother wanted to name me.
Oh, okay.
My father was going with Vincent because in the LeCornus, they tend to give the first name is based on Latin or through French, and then the second name is a biblical name.
Okay.
And then the last name is LeCornu. So
what's
that's
your
been the
middle
pattern.
name?
Well, I don't have a middle name. I don't know if there was
They were
discussion
like,
there or what,
yeah.
but yeah. My brother's name is Damon, comes from Greek. Damon Gabriel
Okay.
LeCornu. So,
Okay. All
and
right.
that's why I kept it going with Ava Madeline LeCornu and then Roman James LeCornu.
Okay.
I followed the same.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Those are the two kids.
Oh, and I wanted to mention in middle school, I did do my birth chart.
Okay.
So in astrology, because reading the description of Gemini, even in middle school, I was like, wow, this really fits me. Is there
Right.
something to this? So back then, now you can do it online. Right?
Oh,
You can just
yeah.
put your name and place of birth and it'll just do it for you. Back then, I had to get a poster board and protractors
Yeah.
and Navy, go to the library and find the Navy ephemeris, those that has like what degrees the stars were and everything. One thing I did find out is not only is my sun in Gemini, obviously, but Mercury is also in Gemini. Mercury controls communication and your love of language and everything.
Yeah.
So not only do I have Sun in Gemini, I have Mercury in Gemini, which doubles the effect. And then they're in conjunction. They were like right next to each other in the sky
Wow.
when I was born. So it's like the highest setting you could possibly get.
They were adjacent in the sky.
Yes, they were. Exactly. And that's apparently the highest setting you can get for like language.
Oh, wow.
Language, yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
I know, it's weird. Yeah, because I've always loved languages.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why. And well, obviously, because one semester I took Japanese and Chinese at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And then another semester
Wow.
to speed it up, I took Latin and Greek at the same time.
Oh, wow.
To this day, I kind of sometimes get them mixed up. But that's fine because those cultures do it also.
Yeah.
The Romans borrowed a lot of Greek words.
Yeah,
The Japanese
agreed.
borrowed a lot of Chinese words.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Like a library in Japanese is
Do you speak them
toshokan.
fluent?
The Japanese I'm starting to understand pretty well,
Okay.
but my production's bad. But
Okay.
toshokan is library, but toshokan is library in Chinese. So you can hear how they
Okay.
took it, and they write it with
Okay.
the same characters.
Do you know how to say adjacent in all those languages? Not to throw you under the bus.
Right next to no tonari, like right next. That would be like two houses that are close together. Doesn't quite get the same.
Okay.
Not that good, especially with
Yeah.
That's
Next
pretty
time.
awesome. Though.
Next time.
I wish I was good.
Yeah. We can do a whole podcast about my history with Japanese.
Yeah.
How do you stay practicing?
Right now, I don't practice the characters as much. For a long time, I had the app on my phone. Before that, Mr. Nerd, I would carry around everywhere I went a bunch of note cards with whatever characters I was working on. I had gotten up to about 2,000 I could recognize. Now it's gone back to like 500, maybe like the most common ones.
Incredible.
But now I watch Japanese shows. My kids have me watch anime a lot. That helps me practice.
Sure.
Although that's like really rude, crude Japanese that you're not supposed to use.
Is it like they're slangy?
Yeah, like their profanity and just like the words they use for you are the really rude words for you.
Oh.
Like there's a famous
Like
line
bitch?
in anime. Well, it just like omae. And what it literally means, at least with the characters you write it with, means what's honorable in front of me.
Okay.
Or the honorable thing in front of me.
Okay.
And it means they use it to mean you in a really rude way.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. Anyway,
Interesting.
it's like sarcastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Honorable.
Yeah.
That's kind of anyway.
So we
So interesting.
we've been
digress.
Airbnb-ing at our house, and my kids came home for the winter break, and somebody had put in my dining room. I have a bookshelf. And somebody that was staying there put an anime book up there. And Cameron and Harry were looking at the shelf. And they were like, why do you have this anime book in here? It's kind of pornographic. And I was like, I didn't put it there. Somebody must have left it.
John?
But they snuck it in there.
John Wynn?
I don't think so. John would not. But and then I think we put it in the gag gift pile.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The Sylvie White Elephant gift. All right. So you're originally from
Winnie,
Texas.
Yes.
What was it like growing up in Winnie, Texas? What was your childhood like?
And where is Winnie?
It's basically what used to be all the rice fields between Baytown and Beaumont.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
along there. And it's where Winnie's right about where you would turn off of I-10 to go south to Bolivar Peninsula.
Okay. So like near Searam Park.
Searam Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Galveston, Gilchrist. And then there's another place called Anahuac.
Okay.
So before I started living in Winnie, I was actually born in San Diego
Oh.
because my grandfather, even though he was originally an Army guy, later in life, he worked as a jet mechanic for the Navy. And so, of course, during Vietnam, he was stationed at the North Island Naval Base,
Okay.
basically just repairing jets that got shot up while bombing North Vietnam, essentially. Rolling Thunder, that was the project. And so the whole family moved there. My mother moved back in with him after my parents divorced and my father went back to Alaska. But I was born there, but then my grandfather retired in 1980 and, you know, the whole family was from Texas. So it's like, let's go back to Texas. So they moved back to where my mother's mother, she was originally from Chambers. My grandfather, I think, grew up mostly in Texas City. But, you know, the whole family's from that area. So we grew up there. We lived in an old house that was owned by my mother's mother's mother.
Oh, wow.
In Hancomer, Texas, which is even smaller. It's literally kind of like two roads. And when I went to the Google Earth page and looked up Hancomer, I recognized one of the people walking down the street like when I was a kid. Like it's that small.
Right.
And then there's this. So when I lived in Hancomer, I went to Anahuac Elementary School.
Okay.
Older people call it Anahuac. It's a native name. Small school. So then in 5th grade, when I was 10, I hit the big time and went to Winnie. That was, you know, that's where the fun started. And, you know, it was a typical rural Texas school, you know, sort of obsessed with football.
Yes.
I will say that this, at our school, and Katie mentions this a lot, there wasn't much of a distinction between the popular cool kids and then the kids that like did well in school.
Right.
Or, you know, they kind of lined up, you know, it was generally like, you're kind of like on one side of the fence or the other. And I think Katie did like me because I was the boy from the cerebral kid from way out in the country who's part native and, you know, had strange friends. Oh, you know what? I think my Gemini quality expresses itself in the fact that I tend to have like two sets of friends.
Yeah.
So in high school, I had kind of my nerd friends, watch movies, D&D, that kind of thing. And then I had my heavy metal friends. Go over to play, you know, check out his new drum set. There was Camaro and everybody smoked. And it was, you know, it was fun, you know. So I kind of like always had one foot in one and the other. And I think a little bit of the bad boy quality is what suckered Katie in. That's what got.
Yeah, I could see her going for the bad boy.
She'll never admit it, but I think she does.
So what did you do that was bad? Lay it out there.
So until 8th grade, I never wore athletic shoes or jeans or a t-shirt to school. It was always a button-down shirt, slacks,
you had a briefcase.
I had a briefcase instead of a backpack.
You were a professional.
So
this was your job.
Yeah. Kids
really
called me Alex Keaton.
Nice.
Yeah. And he was one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Michael J. Fox.
He was so cool. He like had all these plans for life and he was serious, you know. But then when I got our high school band director needed some extra percussionists for the high school band. And so the summer between 7th and 8th grade, I tried out and I made it. So that means
you were a drummer.
Yes.
Yeah. So
those
I got
were the coolest people in all the high schools.
Okay, that was another thing Katie said she liked.
The drum line is the coolest people.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, we're also the least. We're the most misbehaved part of the band, and the woodwinds are always the goody two shoes.
Yeah.
But it's
flutes and
band camp jokes. Those band camp jokes. It was a drummer and a flute girl.
It usually is that way. Yeah.
What did Katie play?
She was not in the band. Katie's never been into music.
Okay.
She's never played music.
Stand corrected.
She likes some songs.
She loves karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody that loves karaoke more than.
I think she likes the social element. You know, like
I don't know. She's good with a mic by herself.
Yeah, she's pretty good. You two together, it's really cute to watch.
Yeah, she's fun. And do you ever see the Jerk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember when Steve Martin is clapping along to the. Sometimes that's
Katie.
That's Katie. And what's strange is Roman kind of inherited that same quality, the not that musical, but then Ava comes out playing violin and everything. So you know, it's funny. I think it's just a genetic thing.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So you've hinted a couple of times. You kind of said it. So you're part Native American. What part are you Native American?
Well, it's
which part of you?
Yeah.
You're not particularly
very dominant
hairy.
genes. The teeth are a big one, and so it's Haida. So they're a very small tribe. I think there's only like 3,000 full-blooded ones left. They're from mainly from a large island off the coast of southern Alaska, Haida Gwaii. And they got hit really bad by smallpox because they were so isolated. And to this day, apparently there've been some scientific studies about autoimmune diseases in Native Americans. And it's strange because I've had ulcerative colitis now and then. And my half-brother said that autoimmune diseases are very common among people with a lot of Native American ancestry because natives who had normal immune systems that only acted up when they recognized a pathogen, they died because they had never been exposed to smallpox before.
Right.
It was the natives who had weird, overactive immune systems that would sometimes attack things randomly. They were more likely to survive. But the problem is their descendants are more prone to things like asthma or Crohn's disease, that sort of thing. So it's a evolution thing.
Also, autoimmune, what I've read is stress.
It can be triggered by stress.
And the Native American community has had lived in a lot of stress.
Yeah, it's
the last couple of decades.
I have very little, experience with that, with Native culture. Growing up in a cowboy town, it was like 90% white, the big ethnic distinction in Winnie was Catholics versus Baptists. That was people had a little bit more of the Cajun or Louisiana background.
Right.
My grandfather, the guy who raised me, was raised Catholic. He went to a Catholic school, but then my mother and grandmother were Baptists.
Right. Okay.
I have a funny joke about church. One of our friends in Georgia was like, our church is very diverse. And we were like, there's only white people there. What are you talking about? And she goes, well, some of them went to the University of Georgia instead of Georgia Tech. So we're like, that's not diversity.
That's not diverse.
It was so funny. We're like, it's a bunch of white people.
So being a Native American, has it presented itself in any way a challenge, or has it been a positive? How do you feel about?
Do you even recognize? Do you?
Well, I could describe myself probably as an apple. That's I've heard that in Native American circles. So it's someone who's red on the outside.
Oh.
White on the inside,
like a coconut.
Yeah, exactly. Or Oreo. It's the same kind of thing. And then I knew Asian students that would refer to some other Asian students as bananas.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
It's like every racial group has these little code words. But so I'm not experienced
except for
with
white
culture.
People.
Yeah, no.
They're white on the outside and white on the inside.
There is an idea of Caucasian men who become obsessed with Japanese culture.
Oh yeah.
And some of those they're called eggs sometimes. I
am learning some things.
Racial stuff.
So
but I think what's the odd thing is one thing, the way it affected my life has been people responding to me as though I don't have a whole lot of emotion, because I think I'm actually lacking nerves in my facial muscles, because I've been told things like, "Oh, you'd be a great poker player," or even Katie will be like, "I had no idea that upset you," or that sort of thing.
Right.
Now it helps me, in martial arts or something if I'm trying to intimidate somebody, because if somebody doesn't know me, they don't know that I'm just a big nerd. I can look like, who's that guy? And I think it may have come from 30,000 years of isolation and constant warfare.
Right.
Because my mother, of course, not being Native, being Texan, she's very animated. Know exactly how she feels about everything. My father, very quiet, locked down, reserved. My half brother, when I was around him, I'd look at him and I'd say, "We good? You okay? We having fun?" Because I had no idea whether he's enjoying himself.
I'm having a blast.
And I realize I'm the same way. So that kind of stoic stereotype about natives is apparently true.
Yeah.
And my talkativeness and everything is the non-native part of me.
Got it.
Which I found out I'm like 1/3, according to the DNA test, obviously 25% native, no surprise there. 33% Scandinavian.
Right.
Because it turns out LeCornu, I'm 0% French.
Okay.
Oh,
0. All my ancestry comes from Ireland, Scotland. Well, there's Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and then Norman, and then some English. So it's weird. The Normans were essentially Vikings that settled in France and started speaking a weird version of French. Excuse me. One historian described them as glorified thugs.
okay.
And I was thinking that makes sense.
Yeah.
I always figured my ancestors
That
were
tracks.
jerks. Yeah,
That tracks.
Must have been.
I have to tell you, Adrian's is 25% as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only
So
reason
now I'm
I
gonna
can
call him an
tell-
apple.
Is that why he always has such a calm demeanor?
He's very
Uh,
calm.
Yeah,
very
maybe
calm.
that's
Well, it's from living with me. Makes he has to be the opposite.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, you have more of the Texas personality. Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, I was thinking because one of the main reasons we
I
brought
can't wait
you
to
here-
call. I can't wait to call him an apple.
yeah.
I love it. One of the main reasons we brought you here today is because we wanted to tap into your conspiracy theory ideas. And I'm kind of surprised that people like Adrian, like you, who kind of get wrapped up in some of these conspiracy theories, went and got a DNA test. You would think like they would be like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah, I think at some point I gave up on privacy. I just it's like
when
what-
you
too
got,
funny.
when you got your first cell phone, do you mean?
it's just like somebody was talking about not wanting to download. They don't want to. They didn't want to install TikTok because they were worried about what the Chinese government would find
Yeah.
out about them. And I
Yeah.
said, look, the Chinese government already knows everything it wants to know
Exactly.
about you.
Right. And they don't care if
Exactly.
you're looking at puppies on TikTok. It's
So,
okay.
I think to some extent it's just giving up, And I was skeptical about how accurate is this? Like how would they know? I mean, how would
Yeah.
I know if they were faking?
Right.
But they did find a cousin of mine,
Nice.
somebody I didn't know about, and they're like, well, according to their test, they're your second cousin. And I had never heard of this person. So I asked my mother, like, do we know anybody by name? She's like, oh yeah, that's your uncle's daughter.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well there you go.
That's so interesting. And their long game on that is like if they know your genes and they see you have a marker and they are doing new research, they're going to reach out to you now.
Oh,
It's-
interesting.
It's a very long game.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know that theoretically, since our general appearance is genetic, that's why identical twins look almost
Yeah.
indistinguishable. Because of that, it's in principle, you could get a DNA sample of someone. Like
Yes.
they could find this cup, get my DNA
Yeah.
sample, and they could
Yeah. They
put it into a computer and it would
Yes.
tell them what I look like. It
Right.
would show my face. Someday they'll be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
That's nuts.
We interviewed somebody whose husband is an identical twin, and they said that if they have the same DNA pattern, so the only
Same
thing
DNA.
if one of them did a crime is their fingerprints that could decipher them from the
Wow.
crime,
I didn't think
or
about
if they had
that.
a really strong
Yeah.
alibi, I guess.
Yeah. So having an evil twin is a problem.
Yes.
You might
Yes.
get blamed for that.
Yeah.
Well, the conspiracy theory thing, I want to say that really has only happened in the last 5 years or so.
You
Yeah.
don't think with with JFK and all of that, there were some conspiracy.
JFK was the one. That's the one I've followed my whole life. But it's funny. It's.
By the way, JFK was a Gemini.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
That makes sense. Yeah, he was a talker. I think he was. He could charm the pants off people. Well, anyway, yeah, we know about his
By the way,
exploit.
Marilyn
Panties.
Monroe was a Gemini as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No wonder. Yeah, because supposedly one reason she quote unquote committed suicide or
Right.
overdosed.
Another conspiracy.
Yeah, was that she did have a very big mouth, and
Yeah.
JFK had a big mouth and told her a lot of things that maybe
Right.
he shouldn't have. That
He
was
had
the
a
idea.
pillow talk with her about Cuba.
That was the idea. And that was one reason she had to go.
Yeah.
But the Oliver Stone movie in the 90s, I think, because I didn't know it was that much of a deal. I had heard about it before. So when that movie came out, I started reading a bunch of books about it. I read the book that movie was based on.
Uh-huh.
Right.
The original guy, boy, he wishes he looked like Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner played him in the movie. It's like,
Like he did not look like him at all.
that guy, he may have won. If he looked like Kevin Costner, he may have won the case just out of,
It's like-
pure charm.
Yeah.
But obviously he lost. But I also read a giant book by Vincent Bugliosi. And I like his name, but also he was the guy who put Manson away. He's a famous prosecutor, and he wrote a book. It was Case Closed, and it was about how, look, Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, lone gunman nut theory. He killed JFK all by himself. Case closed, and it was this long. And when I read that book,
Why couldn't the book be shorter then?
well, he went through. Well, when you're trying to explain things that can't really be explained, you're going to get long-winded.
Right.
Boy, did he jump through logical hoops trying to explain Jack Ruby's behavior. Why a prominent nightclub owner in Dallas would gun down a man in cold blood on national TV in front of a room of policemen.
Yeah, it does make sense.
The Texas Ranger who
Yeah.
well, the guy, when the Texas Ranger went into the cell to tell Jack Ruby that Oswald had died of the wound, he said, "Well, sir, you're going to be charged with murder now. He's dead." He said that he had never had that experience before, where someone, like they said, that he felt, he looked like a whole weight had been lifted off his shoulders. Like Jack Ruby was very relieved that when he found out Oswald had died.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I've never seen that before. Like, that's very strange." And, Jack Ruby was going to, claimed he was going to, crack the case open and tell everybody what he knew. But shortly after that, he died of an extremely aggressive cancer that he suddenly got. Yeah. So it's stuff like that. After, it just builds up and builds up.
Right.
The UFO stuff started in 1987.
Okay.
I remember the day, because whenever my family went to the mall in Baytown, going to the bookstore, it was Walden
Is this
Books.
the day it started for you?
Yeah, for me. So I went to Walden Books, and there was this new book, and I had a display of it, and there was a face on it, the typical pointy chin, big head, with the big black eyes and everything. And I was terrified. Yeah. I had the weirdest reaction to it. I could not look at it. And I'm the guy I'm the science fiction kid. I watch horror movies and monsters eating people all the time. I don't know if Predator had come out yet, but that was the kind of movie I was watching. So why would I be so scared of that? So I had to buy the book, and I read it, but I always kept the cover face down. I couldn't look at the cover.
Yes.
And so I feel like, I don't know. I have some weird memories. I didn't see a UFO myself till very recently.
Okay.
But my family used to drive a lot, especially in the late 70s, early 80s, when we were still kind of transitioning between San Diego and Hancomer. We would drive, because my grandfather's mother still lived in San Diego, so we'd visit them in the summer. So we were driving through New Mexico at night a lot. And I have strange memories. I think something may have happened. If it was 1979, that was when activity was super, super high. So it would have been likely. And then I have another memory, weird memory. It's one of those things where you wake up and you have a memory in your head and it's wrong. It didn't happen. And then you're like,
you're questioning
that's not
it.
a dream. I didn't dream that.
Right.
And there was one night, I think it was 1981. I suppose it would have been what an abductee might call a follow-up visit. They tend to do that. They never really mess with somebody once. They always want to come back and check on something. Sometimes it's to remove the fetus they implanted if you're a woman. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the jar room. That's something disturbing. Like when women are abducted, a lot of times, there's obviously manipulation of their reproductive organs going on. And a lot of women have been abducted and they didn't even know they were pregnant, but they'll go in there, they'll take the fetus out and they'll show it and it'll have the eyes. It'll clearly be like half and half.
Oh, wow.
And they take it and some women have, I say some, but a very disturbing amount, because this is kind of specific. How do over decades, thousands of women, describe the same weird experience, and they'll say that there's somewhere that they saw where there's a whole jar, I mean, a room full of jars of little babies, of fetuses in these little tanks. So something's going on having to do with genetics. But anyway, Whitley Strieber wrote that book in 1987 to talk about his abduction experiences throughout his life, most recently in the 80s. But he was from San Antonio, strange thing. His experiences, he had some as a child in Central Texas, but a lot of his main experiences happened after he became a horror novelist, which, by the way, that always gave me pause. Like, this dude, he's written books about werewolves and stuff.
Yeah.
And now he's saying, oh, by the way, no, I was actually, and it always bugged me that he never said they were extraterrestrials.
Okay.
He never talked about where they were from. He always said, he just calls them visitors.
Okay.
And there was a lot of woo-woo stuff in there about they were trying to expand my consciousness. And at the time, it sounded a lot like New Age kind of thing.
Right.
And I was like a Star Trek kid. I want to know what star system they're from. How did they get here? What's their propulsion system?
Right.
And he starts talking about spirituality and everything. But the weird thing is, as the years have gone by, I've come to accept that, yes, Whitley Strieber, they may have strained his brain. He says strange things sometimes, but I do believe he's had experiences.
Right.
I know from personal experience that a lot of times you can't trust your memories about this stuff. They can clearly mess with people's heads.
Right.
So, yeah.
So
you feel like you have been visited?
I think so.
Okay.
And it
started when you were young.
Common. Yeah. And I'm not sure why or what that means, but little things like after that summer, I remember not being able. I would get scared at sunsets. Like it would get really nervous when the sun would go down. And then I would draw this face that I said would look at me, like I would see it. And it was like kind of like a demon face. It didn't look like an alien.
Do you think it's because of your two, Mercury and Gemini, has made you more aware than some of other people of that experience? And maybe not zodiac, but that you're so cerebral that you can get to a different matrix that other people can't get to, kind of thing.
I think it's just the curiosity and embracing upsetting facts. I think because when I didn't believe this stuff really from 1987, even despite my memories, and I'm like, wow, what if there's something to this? It's just weird. I mean, it's just really strange, and especially in the 80s, it wasn't a thing. And all through the 90s, I worried about academics and my social life and everything in college and everything. But starting in the late 2010s, when some of these new videos came out and these military people are coming forward, and I'm like, are you, wait, is there really something to this? That's crazy. And I've actually spent a couple of nights in Roswell, Mexico, and I went to that museum.
Yeah.
And that was 2018. And I was kind of scoffing at a lot of the stuff in there, even at that point. So, it's taken me a while to come around to this stuff.
So what do you think is going on with the drone situation in New Jersey and I think other places now?
Well, the problem, I think it's super complicated because the United States appears to be in possession of what they call anti-gravitic or electrogravitic propulsion, which is how the aliens ships work, about how the UFOs zip around, how they can instantaneously accelerate or float for hours, that sort of thing. So some of this stuff is ours. And in particular, it appears that these black triangles are built by the United States. They're built by Raytheon, and they're test flown in Utah. So there's very, very little alien about that. But the orbs, well, they're the orbs, and then there's those weird drones with the flashing strobe lights that, and people are debating, are they human or not? Because they don't look like they don't look like NHI stuff. NHI stuff doesn't normally have parts. They don't have flashing strobe lights like FAA regulation lights. They tend not to have that. So my thought is, and this is based on it's a long story, but and this is not a consensus in ufology, but I do think that
Okay, Vincent, you have 30 minutes to tell us
Oh,
your
okay.
story.
So I'm putting out all these because there's a lot of debate. Long story short, I think that
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh,
I know. I want you to tell it, but I just want to tell you in 30 minutes. So I want you to not make it short. But I want you to tell us.
Yeah, I'm
what
just
do you
trying to be careful because I don't want to. I want to make it clear when I'm speaking like for myself and not from ufology. Like the hybrid breeding and the abduction, that's well established, quote unquote. In ufology, I'm not speaking for myself there. But as far as who exactly are these those weird drones that some people are thinking are some sort of human faction, I think that they're actually another faction of NHI that are different from the Roswell ones, different from the ones that our government has kind of worked with now and then. They're not the ones that do the abductions. They're ones that the Air Force in the 50s called the tall whites. So we've got little grays. That's what everyone's used to. But it may be the case that there's a new faction, new as in new on the field. They've been on Earth for a long time, and apparently they actually talked to Eisenhower, but they were rebuffed because they were offering a lot of help and free energy and technology and spiritual development for mankind, but we had to give up nuclear weapons.
Right.
That was the idea. Complete disarmament. Eisenhower was like, yeah, I don't think so. And so supposedly this happened in 1957 was when they were officially told no. And a treaty was made with the Greys that involved them helping us with the anti-gravity technology in exchange for us letting them abduct people. That's one reason for the secrecy. Can you imagine? The government does not want to admit that. Yeah. And then it turns out that we couldn't even use the technology that much. And by the late 70s, the government realized they had kind of been duped. That's one thing about the Greys is they're deceptive. Like whatever they're doing, especially the abduction stuff, is clearly not something like, why would you do it in secret? Like just the very fact that like a lot of the secrecy is.
It might have been the agreement is like, yeah, you can abduct it, but we don't want them to know they're being abducted.
Yeah. Yeah. And supposedly they assured that our government, that there would be, well, it was really 12 guys. It wasn't the actual government. It was Eisenhower and 11 other people.
Sure.
The Majestic 12 is what they call them. These are the guys that made the deal. And we have a list of their names.
Wow.
One of them was played by Matthew Modine in Oppenheimer.
Oh.
Yeah. Oppenheimer, of course, was locked out of everything in 1954 because he was sort of branded as a Soviet spy, more or less. Well, you see that in the movie. So as far as we know, Oppenheimer knew about Roswell. He knew about it, but he was not involved and may have never actually seen the stuff himself. He was persona non grata after the Soviets got their bomb.
May I ask, you've said NHI a couple times.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So, this is 2025 and there's a politically correct term for everything.
Yeah.
So the government in the 50s originally called them EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities.
Okay. EBEs.
And that didn't last very long. ETs,
right.
aliens, like, because, and I'll talk about this in a second, because in the term non-human intelligence, NHI for short, appeared in a congressional bill first. It's apparently a term used by the Department of Defense to refer to aliens because there are multiple factions and they're not sure where they're all from. So they can't, if something's been living on Earth for 1,000 years, it's weird to call it extraterrestrial. Yeah. And so the government's not sure how long the different groups have been here. But, now we've got the tall whites that are apparently trying to interfere with human affairs, and we've got the Greys that have already been doing weird things here. So we refer to both groups as NHI because, and I will say, so apparently there was a document that started being planned out in 2017 because for some reason, everybody in the know, everybody in what they call the program, people connected to this, they know that for some reason, all the secrets are going to be exposed in 2027. Something is going to happen in 2027. Not sure. I've been watching.
Trump's going to be like, bam.
It's some kind of there's different hypotheses as to what it might be, but supposedly in 2017 the government's like, look, this stuff's going to come out. The public's going to be extremely curious and a little outraged, so they got together some experts in Utah and brought them into a skiff and basically showed them everything, showed them all the material that we had, and except propulsion. The guy said that they gave them no information about exactly how the ships move for obvious reasons. That's going to always be a secret. They don't want people to, because you could build a missile that could
hover.
Well, it could fly halfway around the world in, I don't know, in like 2 seconds or something.
Yeah.
Like there would be zero defense against it.
Yeah.
So I can see why we need to keep that a secret. And it's apparently not that hard. Like a lot of the crazy, especially the mental technology that the NHI have are like way ahead of us. But this anti-gravity stuff, it's apparently not that far ahead. Like we would have figured it out ourselves in 100 or so years anyway, apparently. But so yeah, NHI, that's the term the government uses. And so ufology kind of like took that on.
Right.
Hopefully they'll get a better term than the tall whites. That's one, tall whites, Nordics. That's another one. And then Pleiadians. Some people say Pleiadians, but they're supposedly from the Pleiades. So I brought up that document to say one of the first things the guy said was, one of our first questions was, where the heck are these things from? Like, where are they from? And he said, reviewing all the material, and some of these encounters would have been with the Pleiadians. He said that the NHI are, and I'm going to remember his exact words, are consistently vague, evasive, contradictory, or absurd whenever they're asked about where they're from. And he said it's clear that either they think we're not in a position to understand where they're from,
right,
or they just don't want us to know for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And the craziest thing supposedly was, back in the 50s, they couldn't do like DNA testing or anything. But in the 2000s, some of the biological remains that were recovered were analyzed, and turns out that they have DNA. Their genes work exactly the same way ours do. Their chromosomes are perfect circles, and there's like very little junk. Like their DNA is clearly like artificial, but it works the same way ours does. And like,
so
why
they're
would
evolved humanoids of some
Well, yeah, why would that be? Because the idea is that if an organism evolves completely separately in another star system, it'll probably be carbon-based. They'll have some sort of like a replicating molecule that's similar to DNA, but the idea that it would be exactly the same, where you could take one of their genes and plug it into ours and vice versa, and it would express normally, that's bizarre. And so that really threw them for a loop, because
did they run a 23andMe?
Yeah, I know. It's like, what is that? What does that mean? Because that leads to there's the extraterrestrial hypothesis. Then there's the interdimensional hypothesis, that they're from an alternate universe.
Right.
And then there's the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, which means, which I think is the true one, which is they may have originally been from somewhere else, but they've been here for a long time, and they live under the oceans, under Mount Hayes and under the Pyrenees. There's places, Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, supposedly that's a big base of theirs. And the MH370 airliner either got too close to it or was deliberately headed that way. But by the way, have y'all seen the video of the the Malaysian airliner being zapped, being teleported? Oh, I got to send that to you.
Yeah.
It's two different videos. It's a FLIR video, infrared recording from a drone of an airliner that fits the exact description, and it's being followed by these Tic Tac things that surround it and start going faster and faster and faster until it just disappears. There's this black flash, which is weird, because if it were an explosion, it wouldn't be black because it's infrared. So it really just disappears. It didn't blow up. And then there's another video from a satellite looking down on the Indian Ocean, and you can see the plane moving, and then you see the little Tic Tacs, and then it disappears. And what's weird is when it goes like that, you can see that it kind of took a chunk of a cloud away. Now, a lot of people have been quote unquote debunking this video, but there's a lot of weird evidence surrounding that, like the fact that there were a lot of scientists that may have been headed to China on that plane, that we really did not want them to defect to China because of things they knew, apparently. Those people may not even be dead because, like I said, this wasn't blown up. Some people say they were teleported to Diego Garcia, and we have people there. The strange thing is this guy, Lou Elizondo, who's a Department of Defense guy, and he's clearly sort of like a CIA shill. He's like a second generation intelligence community guy. His father was at the Bay of Pigs and strong, like anti-communist fighter. So he is apparently very well trusted, and they've been allowing him to say certain things to kind of prepare the public. And
the slow release.
Yes, they call it controlled disclosure versus catastrophic disclosure. But Lou Elizondo, he resigned from his Department of Defense position, and his resignation letter was dated the day after the final report on the disappearance of the airliner came out, saying, we don't know what happened to it. And it was his job. He was the UFO tracker for the Department of Defense. And he got really angry.
And he resigned.
Because, he started to find out, wait, they've known a lot of stuff about these things for decades.
Yeah.
And
it was like, hey, we're doing the slow release. Here's an opportunity.
You're giving people a run around. They're going to find out about this anyway. I got real quick, the egg. Just yesterday, a Special Forces helicopter pilot, I think his name's Jake Barber, he came forward saying all the other witnesses, either they saw a UFO or they have interviewed people who were with the program who've seen UFOs. You know, this guy worked on a retrieval program. He's like, yeah, I saw UFOs. We went and picked them up. And he didn't, but someone else gave this Australian journalist a video of a recovery. But it's just a video, like a night vision video from the helicopter of the rope going way down, and there's a big egg at the bottom. It's just a big white egg. And that brings up what I've always said is the problem with the photographic evidence, which is the NHI materials usually doesn't look like anything. It just looks like cast iron. Mm-hmm. But then if you analyze it, it's made of, these weird isotopes of heavy metals that should be radioactive, but they aren't, things like that. Like if you analyze it, you can immediately tell humans didn't make this. But in a picture, it's not the stuff. Unfortunately, their stuff doesn't look like Star Wars.
Well, it's probably intentional to confuse us.
You're right. There is a French guy named Jacques Vallée who in the 70s, he wrote a book called Passport to Magonia. Frustrated me when I was a kid because I'm like, oh, this is a UFO book. But he goes into old legends and how it looks like people have had these kind of interactions in the past, and these things have deliberately messed with people's minds. Mm-hmm. They stay hidden, because the fairies are always tricksters and playful. And so he wrote that book to say, look, this is evidence that they've been here for a while. So you're right. There are mind games involved, and that bugs me. Maybe it's my native ancestry. I don't like it when foreigners are in my territory who might be more technologically advanced than me, and I don't know what their plans are.
Yeah.
Like, that has turned out really poorly for some groups of humans in the past.
Right.
And now it looks like all of humans might be in that boat.
Yeah.
Because, like some of the Navy pilots were asked, hey, if you were asked to engage this, one of these vehicles, would you be able to do it? And the guy just kind of chuckled. He's like, no, there's nothing I could do. And they can control the electronics. So one pilot, he tried to, it was like he could get a radar lock on it, but then his missiles would turn off. Or he could turn his missiles on, but he couldn't radar. It's like they mess with your electronics. So we would never be able to really, they can read minds. They can put thoughts in people's heads. So I don't know how we'd ever plan to fight them.
Yeah.
Hey, but we'll try. We're humans.
War of the Worlds.
Well, let's learn from them. Let's learn. Let's lean in.
Well, it sounds like they just want us to stop using nukes and polluting the earth, mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. There's some indication that they're also a bit
But
disgusted.
they might be tricking us.
Well, they do. the strangest thing is that the NHI appeared to have religious beliefs. They appeared to believe in life after death. They don't fear death. And it's almost a kind of Buddhism and so they're very interested in humans, mankind's spiritual development.
Right.
Which, me being the Star Trek kid, Mr. Biology and Evolution, that always bugged me because I'm like, I thought we were done with all that. But it looks like, oh no, that's actually the future, that humans have actually gotten into sort of a materialist rut
Right.
in our thinking and our culture. And that the other neat thing is that it looks like they're really obsessed with consciousness. And yet they have not uploaded themselves to computers or anything. They have brains with nerves, just like us. Now, their brains have a weird network of metal fibers in it that we don't have. And I think it's part of
7.
Well, it's some of that. Anyway, a lot of that stuff might have been planted in Gene Roddenberry's head. But their brains. So I think it appears to be part of a what I call born with Bluetooth. They can interact with their technology. Their stuff doesn't have buttons. They just kind of do it with their, and that was the problem we had, because even when we figured out how it might work, we couldn't turn it on because they just turn it on with whatever. But they're obsessed with consciousness, and the fact that they haven't uploaded themselves to computers makes me think what I've always suspected. It looks like there's something special about nerves that can interact with the soul field, as they call it, the psychic field, and that computer chips can't. That they can imitate thought and feelings all day, but they can't actually have them. If you want to really experience the world and be conscious, unfortunately, you have to be in a brain, apparently.
Right.
So I don't know. It looks like maybe AI won't destroy us entirely. They've been around for a long time, and we know that they have AI. They have devices that operate autonomously that don't have brains, but they don't seem to be like. It seems like if that was a great thing to do, they would have done that.
Right.
Why would they still be in brains, and why would they still die?
Sure.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
I've thought this since culture was diagnosed. Is this genetically the future, and is autism
okay? So human
intentional evolution. Yeah.
Human evolution has always been weird. Biologists have based a lot of the work on human evolution has been trying to explain why was it so fast.
Right.
And then there are these things called the HARS, the HARS in our genome, called the human accelerated regions. And they appear to be parts of our genome that we don't see how they could have changed as quickly as they did from other apes. It was just too fast, too complex. And apparently, a lot of those genes are associated with autism. And we know that they are wanting us to change, to be more like them. And I read a book once that he was a psycholinguist. I mean, he was at MIT, but he's a bit controversial, so I don't know how well supported his ideas are. But it was the idea that in autism, there is a less focus on like the self, that things in the world are regarded more equally, rather than, well, there's a mind that matters, that doesn't, and so it may be the case, like the NHI talk about the fact that they have no secrets, and they're constantly wanting humans to expand their consciousness, like outside of their narrow points of view. And it may be the case that these are steps in that direction. And people have talked a lot about heterozygotic advantage, meaning that if you have parts of the genes for autism, they confer like these enormous advantages. And so you end up with people who get like the full dose of the thing, but really the whole population is changing.
Right.
And the autistic people are just indicators of how humans are changing. Right. So yeah, I mean, and because like a lot of people, they regard autism as like just brain damage. It's like, no, it's a special, different wiring. It's deliberate. Like it's not just, it messed up, So that's what's interesting is it's it's not a mistake. Like something is making us
These
like
numbers,
this.
yeah.
So yeah, it's weird how much all this connects.
I
right?
know.
Yes. So when you
Very
were
interesting.
telling me at TLC about all of the different tall little grays and tall whites, and then the drones, and then they showed like different plasma bubbles next to
The orbs.
The orbs.
Yeah. Now, I saw one of the little drones, which I do think are the Pleiadians
Okay.
sort of tricking us by projecting stuff that looks more like human tech. But the orbs are more like what they're really like. So the orbs are basically they really are drones. It's just their drones, and they're operated through consciousness, and they can go into the ocean, all that stuff. But they are really just observation drones.
But why New Jersey?
That's the big question. Even in ufology, people were really split on why, because unless we secretly moved most or all of our nuclear weapons to New Jersey, why would they be fascinated with just New Jersey? We know they always and for decades have hovered around all of our missile silos,
Yeah.
But New Jersey's obviously never been a big center, and then it stopped. Now, what's interesting is it kind of stopped everywhere too. For 4 days there in December, I saw orbs or drones like every day, like at night, and all the way home from work, because I work till 11 a lot. But then it just stopped. Like so supposedly,
it's like somebody told us about the drone. Shut it down. They can see it.
Well, supposedly,
It made the TikTok guys. We got to shut it down.
Uh-huh.
Pleiadians apparently are supposedly. That was the first step of this long program they have to establish contact with humans without causing a panic.
Okay.
So that's one of the ideas. What is
their
2027?
Marketing plan.
2027 is when they'll actually say, yeah, we're here, but they would have done a lot of like preparatory work before then because they don't want to panic people, supposedly.
Very interesting.
Well,
very interesting.
I think people went in a panic. John believed that they were the drones were created by the government, and it was their way of trying to start laws against drone flying and have very strict parameters behind the drones flying.
I mean, it's possible that.
I think they went to a lot of trouble. They could have just passed a law.
Just paid people off. Like, and also that would have been so expensive. People saw 50 in the air all at once, and then they're going out over the ocean, and then there was this one guy who builds giant custom expensive drones, and he said, yeah, I could make one that looks like that, about that size, and it wouldn't be able to go that far or hover that long. And he said, and it'd cost you about $200,000.
Yeah.
And so who's going to buy 50 of those? That's the. But
and whoever
possible.
did it, wouldn't they be like, it was me?
Exactly.
I mean, wouldn't they be like, I did that? That was me. I was looking for some press.
And if it were the Chinese, I think that there would be some sort of statement about that, because you'd want to, if they're showing off their new cool technology.
Most people, when they did a poll, believed that it was the Chinese that were at the center of it. Only 8% thought it was NHIs.
And I don't blame them. Those ships kind of look like humans. So supposedly stage 2 will be bigger ships that look less human and will be brighter and fly lower. Supposedly.
Yeah.
The consciousness that you're mentioning,
right?
I've recently read that people on the spectrum have some telepathy. Is that the same?
Yes, that is right
when
in
you're
line
saying conscious.
with what I'm talking about. Yeah, because supposedly the more conscious you get, the more your brain can interact with the psychic field that gives you ability to see things and sense things that are and so. It may be the case that that's the kind of wiring that's necessary to have a stronger, interaction. But I've heard about that.
There's a great podcast on it. I'll add it into the notes.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. Casey's the one that found it.
I just find all of this really fascinating. But one thing going back, who killed JFK?
more or less the CIA. Long story short, Oswald was
I think too.
Oswald was a CIA agent for years. He he's a Marine sniper radio operator. Then he defected to the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And the Soviets gave him a job. He got married to a Russian woman. And then shortly before, what was it, 58, 1960, I don't remember the year, but he decided he was tired of the Soviet Union and wanted to come back. At the height of the Cold War, here you have a Marine who defected. They let him come back, and the FBI apparently they even got him a job. And yeah, why? That's just really strange. And there is a guy who saw a UFO in the Soviet Union who, long story short, there's some connection. Oswald has some connection to the program. And it's probably just because he was a very well-trusted agent.
Yeah.
And of course, they gave him an important job to do, but there was at least one other shooter that was on ground level, and Jack Ruby was involved, so he did not act alone. It's ridiculous.
I know.
So crazy.
Wow, this has been amazing.
Oh, cool.
I'm sure you're going to have to come back.
Do you think that you'll be willing to come back?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've lived a very strange life.
We didn't even crack the egg.
I know.
There's so much more.
Cool. No, I'd love to come back.
There's so much more to talk about. Thank you.
Man, you've been great. I know we could have gone on for hours and hours, but we will reach out to you and we'll have you as an ongoing special guest.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We might have to get a special song for it.
I know.
There's being a Gemini, there's nothing I love more than the sound of my own voice. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, when I hear myself,
you have a great voice.
Really? When I hear myself on recordings, I sound like a hick. I'll be like, "Wow, is my accent that thick?"
No.
And normally, if I'm really tired or upset, I start sounding way more country.
Sure.
I've noticed also
one beer, and you're like, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
Now, have y'all noticed this? My mother is living with me now, and I think my accent's coming back the more I talk to her.
I think so.
Muscle memory thing. That's how you talk to your mother.
For sure.
Hey, Mama, what are we gonna do about the? It's a little different. So,
well, we love you, Vincent.
Yes,
You're like
we
one
love
of
you
our
so much.
favorites.
Oh,
we're gonna do our closing sound that we make.
Sure.
Texas, Texas.
Yeehaw!